Let's rip in. The Aftermatch is back. Great to have you back joining us on the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beav. Look, first things first, a little bit embarrassing for you. We knew it was going to be embarrassing. I don't know if you did it intentionally.
Yes.
We both went 4 from 5 in our Super Rugby tips on the weekend, but where you tripped up is where it's embarrassing. You were in Wellington over the weekend for the entire weekend, and you picked the Highlanders over the Canes after spending an entire night and early morning next day with the entire coaching group and playing group. How did that go down in Wellington?
Yeah, look, I've got to think about my geographic movements next time we do our picks because, word had spread to them.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, word had spread to them.
So you got a bit of stick.
Yeah, I mean, I can take it from Sid Ford's coach because, look, I can fire straight back at him about a few of his...
Who's Sid Ford's coach?
Jamie McIntosh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I get into a few...
Is he Ford's coach now?
Yeah, he's
Ford's
upgraded.
Coach.
Yeah, unbelievably.
Gets a few All Blacks and gets an upgrade.
Yeah, well, he's riding on their coattails. I don't know how good a coach he is. But, no, spent the day with him and hearing about how good a job he's doing. But
He's ticking all the boxes.
He wasn't the only one that mentioned I picked the Landers. There was a couple of others, and I apologise for that. But it's good to know that we help motivate them. I think that they got them across the line.
Oh, so you got in their heads.
Yeah, I think so. So I'll be sure to pick them moving forward.
Okay, that's good to know now that we've got that settled and out of the way.
It was awkward though.
How was homegrown? Did you disappoint yourself once again?
Look, I disappointed.
Did you make your flight?
I made my flights. Disappointed myself Saturday morning with the thumping headache that I had, and then just eased off a little bit on Saturday night. But no, wonderful to be down in Wellington, and it's a hell of an event.
Oh, and I'm sure Wellington loved having you too.
Oh, I did my bit for the economy.
Always love having you in Wellington. It's basically your second home. If you were going to play for another Super Rugby team, it would have been the Canes, wouldn't it?
Well, as far as offers, I had early doors offers when I was a youngster to the Landers. So I probably would have fitted in down there, but I would dare say Castle Street.
You would never have become an All Black if you went to Dunedin.
No, it would have derailed me because back then the Guardies were still there, the Cook was still there, the bowler. So I
don't know how many seasons you actually would have had in professional rugby had you have started your career in Dunedin.
Yeah, it would have got a hold of me.
It still gets a hold of you.
It does. And Wellington does a good job of it too, just quietly.
So really, Hamilton is the only place you could have gone.
It was the perfect place.
It's the place that you couldn't get in trouble, but you managed to.
Just a big waiuku.
Okay, well, let's start off. Instant reaction from the weekend.
Yes.
And don't forget, you can talk to us, like anything that we're doing. If you do like it, you can comment on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Shorts, wherever you listen to your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, we are everywhere. And we are seeing all your comments and we're seeing all your views. So thanks so much for getting involved. We start in Dunedin. Your spiritual home, Dunedin.
Really cool.
Canes, Landers. I mean, to be fair, that game could have gone either way.
Yes.
Either team could have won that game in the end. The Canes just happened to come out on top, but it was tight.
Yeah, and for the Canes, to be fair, the Canes have let a few slip or not won a few of those games over recent history. I think about probably the last 2, maybe 3 years. Those are games that have been in the balance. I think we've heard on more than one occasion this year from their management about game management and that part of the time of the game. But it was another great New Zealand derby as far as the intensity, under the roof. It's always good footy there.
The zoo? The zoo is the best. Is that the best part about New Zealand rugby stadiums? The zoo?
It has to be. And, no jokes aside, if you're a young fella, and I know the Landers have missed out recently about when they're going to sign people and all the rest of it, but you imagine the joy of Tangitau
I love Tangitau.
Scoring a 60-metre try and he's running towards the zoo. That can be part of your sales pitch now. Obviously, they've got to keep making sure it's full because, again, it was full and it was looking like it was going off. But that sort of stuff makes you want to play in Dunedin. And, for someone as old as me, it made me want to be maybe a bit younger and going and having a day in the zoo, but I don't think I could.
A day in the zoo?
Yeah, I don't think I could. Well, I probably could, but I couldn't go in there sober.
Definitely not now. No, please don't even think about it.
Preloaded. Get in there with a bit of diesel under the belt. But, it looked great and just adds to the occasion. And, you've been down there a lot recently as far as games go, and it just looks like it adds to the whole stadium.
Caleb Tangitau.
Yep.
We talked about him round one when I mentioned that I thought the Hurricanes winger could be an All Blacks bolter to watch. Hasn't quite kicked on yet. Give him time. But you said the winger that you liked was Caleb Tangitau. Guy scores every week.
Scores every week, and I tell you what, he just has this ability to make things happen. I mean, it wasn't even his try in the end. It was a few sleeps ago now, but
or not sleep, no sleeps,
or lack of. He takes a quick tap from his own 80 metres, hacks it downfield, chases, Landers score. And so all of a sudden he's got the confidence to do that sort of thing. As said, scored a nice try himself, but he just has things happening around him. And late in the piece, when the Landers are trying to win the game, he's the one that's sniping around rucks and getting that go forward when it had to be said they were just tracking around going nowhere, and he gets involved and all of a sudden sparks it. So, he's doing brilliant things for the Landers at the moment.
Back on the game management side of things and how the Canes were able to wrap that one up when in the past they may not have. When you think of game managers, you think of the 9s and 10s. Duplessis Kirifi always steps up in these big moments. He always wins turnovers in these massive moments.
Yeah, very Ardie-like as far as picking his times. And we've seen Ardie, obviously, his whole career, and for Moana in recent weeks, just when they needed it most, he goes and has a dig at a ruck. And
that's what Duplessis does.
And Duplessis was doing that in the weekend. If you watch that last 10 minutes, both teams were out on their feet. They were there in spirit, but it was a pretty slow last 10 minutes because everyone was just gone. They were holding onto a ball the best they could, and then you could tell that there was going to be a moment when there might be short on numbers or what have you, and Duplessis Kirifi goes in, gets a turnover, wins important penalties, and gets the Landers back inside their half, which was going to make it tough for win. Speaking about Kirifi, though, the battle between, I thought, him and Wivy was brilliant. Two sevens who really spoiled each other's attack, the opposition's attack, by what they were doing at those breakdowns. I mean, you chuck in our man Tavatava Nawai and what he was doing at the breakdown as well. And all of a sudden, it wasn't a game that flowed for long periods because that first ruck was such a fight. And it was either Wivy doing it for the Landers or Kirifi for the Hurricanes and Tavatava Nawai at times too. So that was having a huge bearing, but those two were just going at it. It was brilliant.
Here's a stat I saw, and tell me if it's amazing or if it's just regular and normal. You know the smart mouth guards that the boys wear nowadays, which are supposed to tell you when they're taking head knocks, and that's when the doctors know when to pull them off. Obviously, there's been a few tech issues.
Yes.
But Duplessis Kirifi's mouth guard registered over 100 contacts in that match.
Well, being you're seeing this, you are the stats desk on the aftermatch. I'm not quite across it, but I'd imagine he probably gets for about 20-odd tackles.
He made about 21 tackles in that game, but over 100 contacts were registered.
So then you start looking at what else he's doing. Obviously, he goes and cleans rucks when the Hurricanes have got the ball, but there's the defensive rucks and the defensive actions that they talk about when he's going and having a dig. And
does it sound impressive though?
It does.
100 contacts.
But you see everyone sees the maybe 3 or 4 turnover penalties that these guys get a game. You know, obviously him for Hurricanes, Wibby for Landers, and the other sevens around the country. But as far as making the life rough for the opposition, it's when they go in and slow the ball down, and they don't necessarily get any reward for it. But as soon as you can slow that ball down enough that all of a sudden it gives your defensive line time to get set, means the opposition's ball is not fast, so they're not going to be able to really threaten you like they would have previously. That's as good as getting a turnover at times. And that's why I think when you looked at that game, and apart from probably the last 10 or 15 minutes, there wasn't any long continuous attacks really, apart from that last 15 minutes and that first 5 minutes when the Hurricanes had all the ball.
So the turnover's the glamorous stuff for a Lucy, but when you talk about those numbers, his work rate across a 80-minute game of rugby is enormous.
And slowing things down. You just can't, as a defensive line, all defence coaches want the rucks to be slow for the opposition, and he manages to do that, along with obviously Larkhi's big at it, Brad Shields. I mean, the Hurricanes have got a wonderful loose forward show, and they work well together.
Don't they just? Doesn't Brad Shields look good as Captain America? Is he Captain America or what of Super Rugby?
I'm glad you brought out. I don't mean to take us off on a tangent, but
take us away.
Who was the best
of
the jerseys?
I liked the Spider-Man jerseys. I think they looked good on. I like Spider-Man and I like the Captain America jerseys.
Yeah, they did look good.
Also, they made the players look really buff. Did you see the way that they must have been shaped around the chest area? Everyone looked like they were rocking 15 packs.
They were in good shape.
You should have worn one of those jerseys.
Yeah, what help me out now. The Crusaders, who were they?
Were they Iron Man? Yeah.
Strange thing to say, I really like their shorts. I thought their shorts. I thought their shorts like completed their outfit.
What about the purple Highlanders shorts?
No, like
Hulk.
We've been big fans of the Landers here on the show.
Not their shorts.
Not their outfit. Like I don't mean to turn this into a fashion segment, but next year if we go this route again, we need to green it up.
You go straight green.
All green.
Yeah, all green Hulk. Yeah, tap in.
I mean, if I'm just tuning in for the first time and I don't know it's Marvel round, then it's a bit confusing.
It is confusing.
Yes.
What jersey? So you like Iron Man shorts?
Yeah, I like
but not the jersey.
I thought the shorts were quite every other team sort of had stock standard shorts. Their one was part of the whole outfit, I thought.
They all were part of the outfit.
Yeah,
the Blues had blue shorts to match the red Spider-Man jersey.
I think when you look when you're in the fashion world, I think you'd say it popped.
Oh, well, lucky you're in the fashion world to give us this kind of advice.
Yeah.
Cam Roigard just doing Cam Roigard things, scoring tries again, but gets a bit of help.
Yeah, for me, there's something fishy going on at the Hurricanes.
Explain.
I wonder if there's a team fantasy account.
Because they're not actually allowed to play fantasy.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't want to accuse people then. But
you used to bet on your own games, didn't you, Beav?
It wasn't such a big issue back then. That was before there was any match fixing. Bailyn Sullivan gifted Cam Roigard a try when he could have fallen over himself.
So what are you saying?
I think in this Hurricanes team fantasy account, Roigard was captain, and I think they had him for the ×3.
Triple booster.
Points. Yeah.
Triple points.
Yeah, because for me, I can't explain that pass from Bailyn Sullivan any other way. Bailyn is having a wonderful season.
He's been magnificent.
Before we get any legal issues with the Hurricanes about accusing them of having a fantasy account. But isn't Bailyn going well? He's another midfielder outside
Who's getting
the
an
All Black.
opportunity because Riley Higgins, Billy Proctor, these guys are all injured.
He is, and he's looking great on attack. And Bailyn's always been very, very good attacking football, but defensively, some of his games this year he's been physical, really, really physical. So
first time he's really putting his hand up since moving down to the Hurricanes.
First time he's had a long run too in the midfield, as you said, because of injuries, no Geordie. So just another midfielder outside the established 4 or 5 that's putting their hand up.
Okay, talking midfielders, let's go down to the Crusaders, your favourite shorts from the weekend.
Great shorts.
Yes, the Force probably didn't turn up like some may have been expecting them to. Did I tell you? Put Will Jordan, put Sitiveni in your fantasy team. I forgot to say put Macca Springer. And we will get to him and his 5 tries. But midfield, Braden Ennor back into Super Rugby. I know it was against the Force, so temper expectations, but that combination, 12 and 13, which, to be fair, should have been the Crusaders' long-term midfield partnership, had both of those two not had so many injuries over the last 3 years. They would have played so many games together, but both of them have had stints on the sideline. How much potential did you see in that combo?
Yeah, firstly, I don't want to lose any Perth listeners, so I don't want to temper this result because it was just a Force curse. I mean, Force have been great this year.
I mean, they scored 33 points, they leaked how many?
Yeah, they did. But back to your original statement, Havili and Ennor. Ennor, unfortunately, has been one of these guys, and I mean, there's even rumours that he's potentially going overseas or what have you.
Yeah, he's quashed that.
Oh, has he?
He's quashed it and said, no, they jumped the gun there.
Because I just feel that he's somebody that the last couple of years he's been so injury ravaged. I mean, I can't remember him playing a game of footy really since that test match in Dunedin just before the World Cup when he did that serious, I think, knee injury or something like that. He's such physically, he's big, he's fast. Yeah. And I don't know, a couple of the wingers' tries, obviously, Reese and Macca had a field day.
There are a few Macca's moments.
But a lot of it was based on the hands from Havili and Ennor. And I mean, like, yes, there were some nice drawn passes and some nice cutout passes, but the ability to throw off balance and just get it out there as quick as you could. And if you can give, Sevu Reece, obviously, a yard extra, the ball a fraction earlier, like they were able to give. Like, they're just too good out there. But as a combination, they are very slick together. And it's just be great now for Crusaders fans and for New Zealand if we can just get them solidified. They stay
Keep
injury
them
free.
fit, please.
Yeah, stay injury free is obviously
That's
the big
the
one.
biggest one.
But yeah, for in all, brilliant.
I know that it's only early days, but there's been so much talk about the All Blacks midfield. How important is it to have combos that actually play together in Super Rugby, like an Ena and Havili, like an ARB and a Quinn Tupaia, so that they get significant amounts of game time together, because you don't have that many tests in a calendar year?
No, and if you look at the All Blacks,
Historically,
when they've been successful in, which is obviously the majority of the time, and also B, the great midfields, they have actually all come from a NPC, a provincial and Super Rugby background. I mean, obviously,
because you can't have that. You can't coach the connection until you play together, right?
Yeah.
I think Frank Bunce came on radio with us a few years ago and said that.
Having Walter,
you need the time together, and there's nothing else you can do about it.
No, I mean, they played at North Harbour together, then they were at the All Blacks together. Obviously, the most decorated one, Ma and Conrad, Wellington, Hurricanes. Like, they would have played hundreds of games together outside of being the All Black midfield, and it's the same, obviously, Walter and Bunce. The thing about Jordan and Rieko, they have now played a lot together, but it's always at
Only
the All
at All
Black
Blacks.
environment. And I guess at times it'd be nice for them if you do play at a level where you can probably get away with a few things and learn some lessons along the way. But at that level, I mean, but you've mentioned, obviously Havili and all together. The Chiefs have an opportunity, I guess, to do it a bit with Quinn now fully fit and adding layers to his game every week at the look of it at the moment. And then obviously Anton when he's available. So we do have options in this country to do it.
Okay, Macca. Do you reckon he's named after Macca, Mark Ellis Macca? Because he's only 21, so he would have been born in the 2000s.
I'm not sure. I mean, Ronald.
Where does the name Macca?
I mean, Ronald would be another option about who he was named after. I don't know, but 5 tries.
5 tries, equaling the record that Sean Wainui set a number of years ago now against the Tars.
Tars at Brookvale.
Was it at Brookvale?
I'm sure it was a Manly or something like that. But yeah, no, wonderful afternoon for the Crusaders.
That 4th try, when he went out of field to come back in.
Little left foot grubber on the end of it, beats the last defender. It was pretty special.
Yeah.
His mate on the other side was doing some pretty special stuff too, and Sevu Reece. So, I mean, that's what it's about though, isn't it? 8 tries across the wingers, and daytime rugby. There's something there, but the Crusaders are starting to click.
Are they?
They're starting to
They're
click.
4 from 5 now.
Yeah, we just talked about the midfield
Yeah.
and what they can add. The back three, I mean, when you think about 8 tries scored by the Crusaders, and then there's a guy called Will Jordan,
Just roaming around.
just roaming around as well. Still getting great service out of young Preston at halfback. Mitch Drummond obviously came on for his experience, but they've still got a All Black halfback in the grandstands, and that forward pack's getting together. Kirst, it's starting to look pretty dangerous, I think, for the rest of the comp.
Yeah, the Crusaders, they're interesting, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are a completely different team than they were last year.
Yeah, but I mean, it was always going to be.
Of course. This weekend gets interesting, though.
Fascinating, I know.
Because the Blues were
Way better.
Yeah, they were so much better,
Yeah.
and equally could have won their game in Hamilton had it not been for a couple of moments. That is going to be a huge game.
Possibly the Blues' best performance against the Chiefs. And, if they were playing probably anyone else,
They would have won it.
they would have got that job done. And I mean, they got to the point where it was a goal kick here that almost got them anyway.
How intense was that game? The finish was intense.
And physically, geez, they just went at it. And, be honest, when you saw the teams before the game, you were thinking, are the Blues going to be able to contain the Chiefs forward pack? But they certainly did. I mean, again, a few guys just really, really put their hand up. Obviously, Dalton and Big Paddy, we know that what you're going to get from them. And up front, I didn't think they had that in them. But they were mighty impressive. And obviously, there was a young fella at 12.
Let's talk about Xavier. Young Xavier Taylor on Super Rugby debut. Special moment.
Yes.
Like no other. Gets to play in a massive derby like that as a starter alongside Rieko.
Yep.
On the other side of the fence, you've got Quinn Tupaia, who, an All Black in amazing form. What an incredible occasion for that young 20-year-old.
Looks so cool out there.
Cool meaning calm. Or you liked his shorts?
Yeah, he had good shorts too. Just looked like he was just playing a game of footy.
How hard is that to come into? When you're on debut and you're probably freaking out internally, how hard is it to come on in that position? Also, it's not like you're just slotting onto the wing.
No, not on the wing. He's out in the mix.
You're right in the mix. How hard is it to actually just play your own game and be level-headed?
Well, I wouldn't know because my debut certainly didn't look like that. But no, he was mildly impressive.
Were you flustered?
Of course, I was a nervous wreck. I didn't sleep. Didn't sleep from about Tuesday onwards. But he was just so composed. And again, and obviously he's going to have a big future. He was the star of the 20s last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But again, he's going to be something a little bit different from a midfield point of view. Obviously, he's a different body shape. You were obviously there live, so you'll be able to give a test how big he is. But he didn't look like a massive man, but looks very silky, looks very fast.
Former first five, so he's got all that skill set.
All the skill level, and yeah, he looked something as far as if you can do that on your debut against the Chiefs in Hamilton.
Yeah.
I mean, the Blues will start to think, geez, he might be a bit of a prospect for us as far as even...
Well, here's a combo here.
Yeah.
Him and Rieko.
Him and Rieko, and they're contrasting, so... no, I really liked it, his performance.
Not only did he have a phenomenal debut, a few glitches, obviously a card in there, not helped by the team. Got to take a couple of kicks from the tee. The first one, beautiful. Second one, so close, and that was potentially the game. But for a 20-year-old on debut, how hard is it going down to Mulu country when these bouts, because honestly, I don't know if the TV does it justice, but you cannot hear yourself think when you're on the sideline at FMG Stadium, Waikato. It's amazing, don't get me wrong, but the ringing in your ears, it's like being
beautiful sound,
so hungover after a 5-day bender in Wellington and you just can't get rid of the ringing in your ears and you can't sleep and you can't do anything. That's what it's like being there on the sideline. You literally can't think. How is that for opposition kickers to try and keep themselves cool and calm and slot one over?
Well, Is it
intimidating?
I wouldn't think so, because the good thing about it is, and I always actually preferred to be kicking away from home, because with that noise, there's a dullness in the air, and then ends up being a dullness in your head.
So you'd rather the noise than the silence?
You'd rather the noise. And
the silence gets to you.
The silence used to spook me. But having noise just constantly, then you can just be in your own process and be nice and dull. And I guess, too, a kick from the sideline had nothing. Like, you probably prefer that to being to an easier one, because there's not quite the expectation. But when it started to shape around, I thought, oh, here we go. It's naturally going to come here. But it just hit the woodwork. But, I mean, just adds to his performance, really. He certainly did everything that you'd expect of him, and he almost got the absolute fairy tale. Yeah,
so this kid, 20-year-old, on Super Rugby debut, incredibly intelligent, was an all-excellent student in all his NCA exams, now at university studying. How many rugby players actually study these days?
Yeah, look, I don't know many these days.
Not the ones that are destined to be All Blacks.
No, not
like his future's almost set up and he's studying.
Not the ones I know. A few of them could do with a bit of study.
Yeah, well, you studied for about 50 years.
16, and have
was it only 16?
Double degree.
Yeah, but that usually takes 4 years.
The BMS at Waikato is a very tough degree to get your hands on.
BMS?
Business Management Studies, majoring in marketing and HR. So if there's any problems here, HR I'm talking about.
Your mum and dad must have been proud. Two teachers.
Yeah.
Seeing their son sign off with a BMS.
16 years it took me.
Did you even go to graduation?
I did go to graduation. And
did you ever go to a single class?
Yeah, I went to lots.
In person?
In person, I mean.
Lectures?
Look, tutorial was better for my learning. I learned better in tutorial. One-on-one. Smaller class. And then you get a lot of group work in some of the marketing classes, so you can actually...
group work. So you copied.
Sign off. We actually got, me and my flatmate were doing the same degree at one point. The years after living with City, I lived with a couple of mates from back home, and one night I got home from, must have been an away weekend with the Chiefs, and I had an assignment due on the Monday, and I said, mate, just give me your assignment. And so he said, yeah, but remember, because you had to put it through a system where they would check it, and it's just all automated by computers. I said, no, of course it will. But
was he submitting this exact same assignment?
Yeah, we were in the same tutorial group. And I literally changed words like in, the, and as opposed to changing anything of any, like the content. And because, I mean, I was tired. It was a Sunday night. It was due at 9 o'clock Monday. So I did all of that. Anyway, a week passed and I get a text from my mate. He says, oh, good one. And I was like, what do you mean? And he'd been summoned in to meet like the head. And they go,
Beaver would never cheat.
So, do you know Stephen Donald? And he goes, nah. And he goes, oh, your assignments are just like uncannily exactly the same. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I don't know him. But the fact is we were living together. So, yeah, that was one issue I had at university. But apart from that.
Who was your flatmate?
Oh, mate Mud.
Can you say sorry to him?
No.
Did he get kicked
no,
out?
there were no repercussions. He got a warning.
He didn't get kicked out of
Didn't get kicked out.
Did he get good marks for that?
Oh, he was an average student. I think we only got C pluses for that one anyway. We didn't waste too much time. Speaking about graduation, Tauirika Kubala showed up and did the haka as I'm going across stage.
You would have loved that.
Yeah, I mean,
what a proud moment.
Very proud moment. But, you want a bit of fanfare when you've done it for 16 years. Earned it.
And he's doing a solo haka for you.
Well, he'd arranged
Was it the Civic Theatre in Hamilton? Or
at Claudelands there.
Oh, Claudelands.
Yes, big deal.
If it was at Claudelands.
He'd arranged for a few others to come with him. Namely the little first five for the Chiefs at the moment, no shows. And so he looked around and he's like, I'm going to have to do
They
this.
wouldn't have done a haka for you anyway.
He said, I'm going to have to do this myself, aren't I? And I could see him walking in and I was like, here we go. But so it was a lovely moment, made the day even more special. But yes, graduation, it happened and I did attend.
Good on you, Beav.
Good luck, Savvy. It's not easy.
So, who are the smartest rugby players you've played with then?
Well, if we're talking about educated,
Smarts.
yes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, well documented. The lawyer from Wellington, Conrad. Everyone goes on about that. But
How
yes.
smart is he? Could you ever have an argument with him and win?
Oh, you can have an argument with him. He loves an argument. But you can win an argument in your mind, but I don't think you ever convince him that you're right and he's wrong. So, no, he would be up there. Obviously, Victor, another Wellingtonian, he's law degree too, isn't he?
Law degree.
Anthony Borich, engineering.
Is he?
Yes.
Is he using that degree?
He is now, yep. I'm trying to think. Certainly not Richard Kahui.
No degree?
No degree there. But no, those are the ones that from our area I think that jump out.
Borich.
Oh, Liam's got a degree. He got a gifted degree that he likes to claim.
Oh, Liam Messam.
Yeah.
What's his gifted degree?
Wintec and Hamilton gave him one. And
Isn't that the Polytech?
Yeah, it's the Polytech, but he claims he's got a university degree.
What's the degree?
I don't think.
It's an honorary.
Yeah, but he likes to drop that off. He thinks you got a genuine degree. I said, you actually got to go to class for that.
So what did they give you, Liam?
Yeah, tell us.
Okay, let's go back to that game because our Jonahs, we're
Yes.
going to update our Jonahs table.
Yeah, well, I'm going to add, we're going to have a leader all of a sudden.
We finally, after 5 rounds of Super Rugby, have a leader. Take us through the leaderboard, our Super Rugby Player of the Year, the Jonah Awards.
I hope you're not going to make me do this every week because as the weeks go on, I'm going to forget names. But at the moment, we have Mackenzie on 1, Ardie on 1, Tavatava Nawai on 1, and I think that's all.
Yes.
No, well, Jordan on 1 as
Jordan.
well. Yes.
So the names on that list.
I'll do the admin. Well, we're going to have an outright leader after this round. And
Tell us who.
It's going to be controversial.
So he's got one hand on the trophy.
Yeah, but we are going to have a undisputed leader of the Jonah this year, and Damien McKenzie's performance in, again, a repeat of last year's final, match of the round there in the Tron. He gets the 1 point to go to 2 points on the Jonah leaderboard.
That's twice he's done it to the Blues this year. What did you see from him that set him apart from anyone else across the weekend?
Moments of brilliance, obviously, that sparked, I think, the try, maybe one of the tries of the year. Probably can't say that because there's been a few
Which
from the
one?
Drua. Cortez's try. Also, just there was control about the Chiefs game when there needed to be control. And there was, between him and the Sean Stevenson combination, they just looked very calm when they needed to be.
Like they have the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, they do it well together. Obviously, another kicking option there with Stevenson there too with him, and Damien uses him wisely. Damien trusts him with his kick, so Damien doesn't feel he has to do all the kicking. So, I mean, 10s want to have other options, but if they don't have other options they trust, then they're not going to use them. But he trusts Sean Stevenson's big right boot, so that just gives them another point of attack. But no, for me, Mackenzie's control of the game. I thought he looked on one leg.
He didn't look comfortable. His knee was so heavily
Yes.
strapped together. I doubt he will play next week against Moana Pacifica, and they have got the bye the week after. I reckon he was strapped together to play that game, but he was wincing during that match.
And
He looked sore.
I think it was probably nice for him to realise what a lot of us had to deal with, if not having that lightning pace and just being brought back a
Just
yard.
a peg?
Yeah, just come back a yard and realise what it is to not to be one of the quickest on the field, because that's the reality of when you get older, Damien. But
He's only, 28?
oh yeah, he's falling off a cliff. But no, I thought he was very good. But yeah, just noticeably looked a touch slower than usual.
Touch on Sean Stevenson, because so many, I know it's only been a short stint in Japan, about 6 weeks or so, but a lot of people don't come back from Japan. That out behind the back pass, is that the sort of razzle-dazzle he's been throwing in Japan because you can around these Japanese players, but you come and do that in Super Rugby and nail it?
Well, I don't know if it's so much that you can do it in Japan, but the
confidence
freedom,
to be able
there's
to do that and to
freedom.
execute that perfectly from him
But he's been
in a
doing,
massive derby game.
but he's been doing that for a couple of years now, and maybe he's at ease with himself as far as what his future looks like. And
What does that mean?
well, I mean,
Has he set sail his All Blacks dream?
well, maybe he's content with that now.
So he's just playing.
He's just playing with
Whereas
freedom.
there was pressure before.
Maybe. I mean, we are talking a lot about one pass.
Oh, that was amazing.
but
not just the pass,
but yes.
just his game in general. He's come back from Japan, having not had a Super Rugby preseason, only playing over there, and he looks like he hasn't missed anything.
No, but I think, the point you make, there is an aspect of freedom about how he's playing at the moment, and it can only be good for the Chiefs, because all of a sudden you look at that Chiefs outfit, if they can get the ball from their forwards that they have at times this year, who are you marking up on, and who are you trying to limit the damage from? There's quite a lot of threats right there. And I mean, Narawa had a good game, but by his standards so far, it was probably quiet, So there's so many threats there. And now you're adding Sean Stevenson and doing what he's doing.
What do you think Clayton McMillan is doing with their bench? Is he resting All Blacks instead of fully resting them each week? Is he chopping and changing them between starting and the bench so that he's limiting their minutes? Is he just trying to build this massive squad depth? Is he trying to build? What is he doing there? What is his end game with? Because he's using the bench to some effect in every single match this year.
Well, at the moment, he's winning games of rugby with it. And so you'd think why that is continuing to happen. They're top
But in
of
the
table.
playoffs, surely your Semi-Penny Finals, your Samasoni Tokiaho's Quarter, these guys are surely starting and playing more than 20 minutes.
I think it'll be a case by case. Sammy Penny, he's always an interesting one. What sort of game you're trying to play? He is unbelievable off the bench, but he is a starter too. He is an All Black 6, but then you've got the addition of Parker going so well for him at the moment. So where does it all fit? Obviously, Lukey Jacobson in the mix as well.
Tokiaho?
He's your starter. I think they're just building. They're building him. Like, he's been out for a long time.
Because remember their hooking crisis last year? So they know that there are guys, if something happens, that can play.
But Takiaho, if there's a final tomorrow, he's their main man.
For 78 minutes.
Yeah, but he's had so long out.
Yeah.
So I think
that man, he looks good.
He does look good. Looks powerful. But they've got a luxury at the moment. But all of a sudden, like if it's the Crusaders that they're playing, it'll be a fascinating forward pack they name, because all of a sudden I think you'd have to go full noise. You're not going to be able to say, we could have this one on the bench, because that Crusaders forward pack is starting to look pretty
monstrous
when you think about the All Black front row, the All Blacks in the locking department,
they're
Lucy's,
back.
they're all there. So, but it is a luxury at the moment, and they're escaping pretty well as far as injuries go.
It's not just the New Zealand derbies that are turning heads. The Australian derbies have been really, really strong too. Bit of biffo. A bit of state of origin, like state versus state, mate versus mate. Queensland against New South Wales. I'm talking Reds against the Waratahs, of course. The Reds bounced back really strong after that drubbing in Christchurch. A bit of sledging going on too. between two Wallabies teammates on opposite sides of the field this week. Did you see the exchanges between Harry Wilson and Callaway? Callaway was giving it to the big number 8.
That was on his way off to the Simbin,
Yeah,
wasn't
it?
It was great.
That's what I like to see.
It was great drama.
You're getting sent and you're also giving it to the guy that you just
Who
hit.
was the Wallabies captain?
Yeah, who is your skipper?
Yeah, and
in a few months' time.
Well, Callaway better be careful. If he wants to be picked.
And he also said to Harry, toughen up, mate. Toughen up.
Yeah, I hope he's apologised because...
what you think that he's...
captains have input. Captains have input in selection, so I'd be careful. Andrew, you're a good player, but I don't upset the Australian captain. But for me, it was a bit of a statement. The Reds, at the start of the year, you thought, looking at the amount of Wallabies, I mean, we mentioned the Wallabies captain there, and Wilson, obviously, an all-star loose forward trio.
About 13 Wallabies.
You thought that they were going to be a feature in this year's competition. That result against the Crusaders was a bit of a surprise about how, I guess, non-existent the competitive nature of that game was. Will Jordan, and
just tore them apart.
And you did me over on the multi, so I haven't forgiven them. But that, I think, was a bit of a statement to say we are going to be a part of this. And, you know, at the start of the year, you thought they would be. And I think they're starting to pop their heads up as going to be a proper contender.
Were you much of a sledger?
No, we're only in about the 79th minute if you had the job done.
When you turned about 30.
Yeah, well, once you get older and angrier, and in Japan you do because you know you're bigger than
Japanese.
Well, no, not necessarily Japanese, but other foreigners. But no, I always left it until about the 78th minute when you knew you were going to win because there was no point going early on the
What sort of sledges are you throwing out?
Oh no, but you've just remembered what everyone else has said to you, so then you go back at them. But you can't be dishing it out in the 5th minute, 10th minute because if you lose.
Well, what's the best sledges you've heard? There's obviously the iconic ones.
The iconic ones.
The George Gregan.
The George Gregan standing over Byron saying 4 more years. I mean, it's as good as it gets. And
then you fast forward about 20 years later and
beautiful.
That resurfaces. Yeah. What was the quote? That Brodie Retallick over Peter O'Mahony at the Rugby World Cup quarterfinals 2 years ago?
I think it was very similar to Gregan's.
I think there are a few additions.
What's the word? Expletives?
There was expletives.
I think there was expletives. And coming from Brodie, you'd expect a few.
What did he say? Give it to us in Brodie terms.
Well, I don't know if you can.
I'll beep you.
Will you?
Yeah.
I think it's 4 more years. We better beat that. Can't be having foul language on the show. But yeah, I mean, you got to be very careful when you dish it out and know that there's always going to be a comeback.
Yeah, well, that was it. Brodie was signing off his international career at that World Cup.
And how many years after that was the Irish series? Was that a year or two?
A year after the
so
Irish
they sat
series?
on that. They sat on that.
Good.
They thought they'd get their chance.
Sam's just stayed silent in all of this because, of course, there was the Peter O'Mahony sledge to Sam Cane. You're a shit man's Richie McCaw.
And then you
famously delivered when they won the series.
I mean, one of the great sledges didn't actually happen on the field. I think Rieko's, was it a tweet or a post after the Irish game this year? Was good.
Yeah,
What was it? Put in the book.
Oh, put that one in your book.
I enjoyed that too.
So Sexton.
Yeah.
Put that one in your book.
Maybe that's where the world's going. You sledge on
social media.
I like
okay,
it.
sledges. Your best sledges on social media, please. Let us hear. But before we go into our predictions.
Yes.
We are 5 rounds into Super Rugby, 16-round competition, nearly a third of the way through the comp. It is fascinating between 1 and 11 right now. Like, there's really... We thought this would have been a closer competition with the rule changes, one less team, whatnot, but I don't think anyone picked it to be this good.
No, not the competitive nature. The amount of teams
not every single round and every game, basically.
There's a lot of teams who are 1, 2, 3 wins. There's only a couple for me that are clearly out in front.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Get involved in this as well, but we're making our predictions. So pick your 6. Pick your 6 teams that are going to make the playoffs right now. We will go back and look at these after round 16. Who's going first?
You go.
Okay. So the obvious ones for me, and which I'm sure we're both going to have, Chiefs and Crusaders will be there.
Correct.
So lock those 2 in.
Yep.
I then add the Reds into that category.
Yep.
So there's 3. And this is in no particular order. They can finish in whatever order they like. It would make things interesting, though, if we did order them. I'm adding... Oh, it's so tough. I'm adding the Brumbies in there for another Australian team. So there's 2 from each right now. The Highlanders make it for me.
Fairy tale.
The Highlanders make the 6 for me.
The fairy tale continues.
They couldn't make the 8. in last year.
No.
They make the 6 now. And then it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up between the Waratahs and the Hurricanes for me.
Be careful, because I know what the Canes individuals are like.
I've always
Where are
picked-
you this weekend? Are you in Wellington?
No, I'm not.
Well,
I'm in Auckland.
Well, you say what you want to say then.
Anyway, the Canes are on a bye.
I'm telling you, I'll find you.
It's so hard. I feel like the Canes are going to come good, but then the Waratahs, it's tough. Okay, I don't know where I'm going with this. I picked the Waratahs to make the 6, so maybe I should stick with that. I'm leaving the Canes out, and I am adding the Waratahs in. So there'll be 3 New Zealand teams and 3 Australian teams in my top 6. Chiefs, Crusaders, Highlanders from New Zealand, Reds, Brumbies and Waratahs from Australia. So the teams missing out on my playoffs run, Canes, Blues, Moana Pacifica and the Drua.
Oh, jeez, you got the Blues missing too.
Yeah, they've got the Blues missing. I'm sorry. But they've got the Crusaders and the Hurricanes, and then coming weeks, they've got the Drua away, they've got the Reds away. They do not have the easiest run home.
Okay, so I go Chiefs Crusaders. Yep, locked in. I got the Brumbies locked in. Brumbies are almost in that Chiefs Crusaders category for me, because it's the same old Brumbies. They are just getting it done and doing it efficiently too.
Yeah.
So Brumbies are locked in for me. I do go the Canes. I'm locking them in. They've got some big artillery coming back, and they will get there.
This is only because he spent a weekend in Wellington.
I love the fairy tales.
He wouldn't have picked them a weekend.
I have to go with the fairy tale of the Landers.
So you're going 4 New Zealand teams.
Yeah, and
That's it.
Well, I've got one to add.
Chiefs, Crusaders, Highlanders, Hurricanes, Brumbies.
Yeah, I've got one more. That's 5. And then it's the Reds or the Blues for me. And you're telling me the Blues have got a tough draw.
The Reds are.
So
Surely the Reds.
I'll give the Reds.
You're
4
leaving
and 2.
the Blues too.
I am, and I think that's the one that's going to bite me.
The Blues make it.
Somehow.
Prove us wrong. If the Hurricanes needed Beaver's motivation last week, going down to Dunedin, maybe this is what the Blues and Vern Cotter needs.
You're welcome. I'll invoice you later. But yeah, the Landers is the fairy tale. I've caught up in it. I just have to get.
I'm caught up too.
Yeah.
It's the best story in Super Rugby.
Yeah,
From where they have been, from the roster that they had at the start of the year. If you looked at their 40-man squad,
Yep.
there is no way you thought that they will be competing with the big boys, and they are every week.
And they are, and they've still got guys like Finn Hurley to come back. Whakatava's still to come back. So there is still some big weapons to come back. So, yep, I think they do.
I love what they're doing.
Yeah, it is great to watch.
There you go. That is our 6. Pick your 6. Pick your. It's hard. It's hard, right?
You know what?
People are going to get really offended by
Well,
this.
guess where I am on Saturday?
Auckland. Same.
Oh, wonderful. I said I've got to think this through.
You've done it again. You've done it again.
I'm going to make it up to you, Blues.
With what? You're going to pick the Blues this weekend over the Crusaders?
Well, I don't want to spoil the picks, but yeah.
Here's the picks.
Yeah.
So here are our round 6 predictions.
Go on.
This is where it gets interesting. We'll start in Auckland, since we're both there, alongside one of the greats from the Crusaders.
Andy's joining us.
Andy Ellis is joining us.
Fantastic.
I need to get a few gardening tips from Andy. He's a gardener.
Oh, he's a real green thumb, is he?
I think so.
Yeah.
We're building a garden at home at the moment. Trying to. So Auckland
Yes.
Blues. They need to start winning. They can't come close. They need wins.
Blues will win this weekend.
Crusaders will win. You say that again down the camera.
Blues will win this weekend.
You're 100% convinced.
I thought
After just saying that Crusaders forward pack, All Black front row, All Black.
A little bit of me is about, I've just said they're going to miss the 6, but I don't want to.
Oh, so now don't worry though, Blues. Congrats, you've got your second win of the season. You just missed the 6.
I want to be allowed to get into Eden Park when I come to work this week.
You'll be denied. You'll be denied. Okay, so you're going Blues. I'm going Crusaders.
Yep.
Moana Pacifica against the Chiefs in Pukekohe.
Can't wait.
Just down from your home. You thought this should have been Moana Pacifica's home ground.
I
They've
did.
made Albany their home.
Yes.
This weekend they play in Puke because there's dengue fever in Tonga at the
Tonga.
moment. So they weren't able to take this match to the Pacific Islands, but they get to go to Puke, which will be a wonderful occasion.
Yes, I'll be there on the hill.
Do the Chiefs rest many?
I think they do.
But they've got to buy the week after, so they don't need
They've
to.
got to be cautious. Ask the Hurricanes about resting against Moana.
You can't.
You can't. So you might be right about McKenzie. He did look a bit.
I don't think he'll play.
Did look a bit.
But I think
wobbly.
most of the others will play.
I'm going to be on the embankment. Cannot wait.
You taking the kids?
Taking the kids. And so hopefully.
What's the weather doing? Is the water slide going to be running down the hill?
Jeez, I hope not. I don't need 3 sick kids by Saturday.
Do we get a sack of potatoes on entry just like you do when you go to counties?
Not everyone will get one, no. I wouldn't think so. I'm just trying to get some free tickets. But
Spend your $15, mate.
Oh, yeah, Moana's game.
$10 tickets.
Yeah, Moana's cheaper tickets. So, yeah, no, good. Looking forward to that. But
Where are you going?
Chiefs.
Chiefs for you.
Chiefs get the job done, but be careful.
Me too. Chiefs, but look, I wouldn't mind a wee upset there. I wouldn't mind a wee upset there. Highlanders Reds, 4 o'clock game under the roof in Dunedin. Oh, this is a matchup. This is a matchup and a half.
Yeah, and for Reds, it'll be a big one for them. The high of beating their arch rival to then going back to New Zealand where they'll be talking all week. Look, we let ourselves down last time we went over. We got belted by the Crusaders. So this will be a huge game. But it gets to must-win territory for the Landers. I don't know if they welcome anyone back just yet. But for me, they get it.
Highlanders. Tough game. I need the Highlanders to win this. Highlanders.
There you go.
Blues, Crusaders, we've done that one. Waratahs, Brumbies in Sydney. Brumbies.
It's the Brumbies for me.
It's the Brumbies for me too. Force Drua.
Interesting one, this one.
Very.
Drua seem to be on the road constantly at the moment.
They are always on the road. They've had 2-week tours twice already, and
every time I think the Drua are going to get an away victory, they have a bit of a flat one.
They've been in Canberra. They'll go straight to Perth. They won't go home in between.
No.
They'll have a week to prepare.
Force got a bit embarrassed in Christchurch.
I'm picking Drua. I want the Drua to win this one. I want them to win.
I think the Force might get it.
Okay. Good luck to you. Super Rugby Opiki, round 4. We're getting closer and closer to the final. Chiefs and Blues, women go again. Chiefs were narrowly beaten a week ago by the Blues, like 2 points. It was really close. And this is at home. They're home.
Chiefs get it done for me.
Do they?
Yep.
Blues will want one of those losses, eh? You know how you talked about Clayton will want a loss for the Chiefs at some stage?
Yep, the Chiefs for me.
Blues will win this one, but I think that will be the final. Hurricanes Poa up against Matatu. Poa yet to get a win this season. I'll be going Matatu.
This weekend the Poa get it.
You Wellington lover.
And on that, I know they only plan to buy, but I'll also get the Hurricanes up this weekend too. So another win for the Hurricanes.
You're going the Hurricanes.
And the Hurricanes this weekend.
Notch up another for the Hurricanes.
Yep.
Okay.
Well done, lads.
Well, that's us on the aftermatch. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Your YouTubes, your tickers, Instas.
Have you got a TikTok yet?
No, I keep saying I've got to get onto it.
You need to. By the way, people loved the 3 Fijians that you'd played with or against.
Or against, yes. Yeah. Sitiveni, I mean, he's off the grid, so I haven't heard from him.
What is that guy doing?
He's living in the UK. I think by memory, last time I was talking to him on an army base.
Doing what?
I think he might be in the British Army.
He's in the army?
No, he's not. But I think his partner is. So, yes.
When was the last time you talked to him?
Probably last year.
Oh, okay.
He's brilliant. Like he just falls off the grid and then he just pops up out of the blue and we yarn and then drops off and then I hear from him again.
And Big Joe rocks. Is he coaching in France? So he never came back from France. He just he's made that home.
He's coaching
racing.
Racing, yeah, because that's where he played. For a long time.
What sort of coach would he be like?
Be outstanding, I think.
What's he coaching?
Well, I know he was doing a lot of the younger players, like I don't know if they call it pathway or something, but he did have the younger guys. But I think then on top of that, then they get little sort of portfolios with the top team as well.
Jerome's doing the same.
Jerome's doing the same. He's
Kano, of course.
He's at Toulouse and he's got again jobs to do from the club, but has a part of his portfolios with the top team as well. So. Yeah, I think the boys are tracking along quite nicely. It'd be quite fascinating to see those two come back one day and coach the New Zealand team.
You reckon it'll happen?
I'd say so at some point. Be awesome.
A lot of Weymouth supporters. That's what I didn't. A lot of people watching from Weymouth.
Yes. Clendon was mentioned too, which is just there.
What about that game? The high school final between Wesley and Rotorua Boys High. the footage that someone sent us, one of our great listeners. Thank you so much for sending that in. If you haven't seen it, go and look on our social media channels at the aftermatch of Wesley College. I mean, you were good. You were good enough. But Sitiveni that day,
I told you,
single-handedly beat Rotorua boys.
He didn't do anything all year.
That one game was magical.
I think by Monday he had about 4 provincial teams. That's when you sign for an academy or provincial academy first. He had about 4 on his desk. Well, his desk, he didn't go to class. He didn't have a desk.
In the dorms.
We had 4 to look over for him.
You read them.
We had about 3 NRL teams.
Who were the NRL teams?
I can't remember now, but it just went bang on that back of that one game.
Did you ever watch that game back? It was so cool. Ian Jones-Carmo was calling that game. Liam Messam was on the other side. Was he a friend of yours at that time?
No.
So you didn't know him from a bar or so?
Didn't know him from a bar or so.
He wanted to check the passport ages of everyone in the Wesley team, by the way.
Well, so on their team, they had Stephen Stefano, who had long career in New Zealand with Waikato, Landers as well. They also had Rookie Tapuna, who was about the best high school rugby player there was of our generation, played a bit for a bop. And talk about Fijian wingers, they had Waka Sadorda, who had obviously a long professional career as well, but he was just so slippery. He was small and slight, but his feet were silly too. But yeah, it was really good to beat Liam more than anything.
You used to remind him of that?
Oh yeah, and his only defence is show me your passports. Show me your passports.
He's still on that bandwagon.
Yeah,
he messaged the show last week saying, "Give me the passports."
It doesn't have an asterisk, Liam. It does not have an asterisk.
So he's still annoyed 20 years later.
The fact that you're allowed to be 21 playing high school rugby is a non-issue. No, they're all underage.
Okay, just finally, just on that,
Yep.
there was also some footage of you getting done over by Sitiveni.
Yeah, thanks for putting that up.
Possibles, probables. You can thank our wonderful producer for finding that. When you just were in all sorts, you tangled yourself up trying to tackle the fella who you spent so much time on the same side of the field. Well, he obviously targeted you and wanted to make you look absolutely silly.
He didn't need to make me like I was flat-mate at the time.
You were tangled. You were in all sorts. Your arms and legs are flying all over the show, and he was already on the try line.
And so the backstory of that is about a year before we played a club final in counties opposite each other, and him being Pukekohe, me being Waiuku, and I got a 70-metre intercept, and he ran.
Did you finish it?
Yeah, he ran next to me the entire way.
Oh, so he let you score. He let you.
I think he let me score.
Of course he did.
Because
you think there'd be 70-metre dash between you two? No chance.
He literally ran next to me, and I always tell people because I was City's taxi driver, so it was his way of saying thank you to me, and he knew it would mean a lot more to me probably playing for my hometown to win the final with the intercept. But I'm sure he chose that All Black trial in Napier.
He singled you
as
out.
his time to say, right, I'm going to get mine back on you. And yeah, he beat obviously about 5 people on his way to try line. But
who was in the 2 teams? Did you have Ma?
Ma was outside
next to you.
Yeah,
he also made Ma look stupid, not just Beav.
That's been forgotten about. But he beat me about twice. You know, he scored about 3 tries past Fee.
Yeah, you kept trying.
I kept trying
to get him
off balance,
to no avail.
But yeah, that was a great night. But yes, he did take that opportunity to go, right, I gave you one a year or 2 ago, now it's my turn.
Did he make the team?
City?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went straight in.
So he was a part of the probables, not you were in the possibles.
Yeah, so
how many of the probables actually make it?
Well, because that was the year where they had guys in Fiji, I think, playing for the Māori All Blacks, so they were out of it, and it was before the British and Irish Lions series, so they decided to have this trial. But we had, our midfield, we had Ma and Conrad.
Yeah.
Because their midfield was supposed to be like, I think this midfield was supposed to be Tana and Mills, but I think both got injured. But because we'd already named the possibles, our midfield wasn't going over there. So Ma that night, like, tore him to shreds. He was unbelievable that night. But yes, I mean, for all the highs of that night and winning the game with the possibles boys, the Sitiveni was tearing me apart. It was probably the only thing I remember from
I can never unsee that. I will never unsee Beaver. He didn't even get touch. He didn't get a hand to him, and he's got legs and arms everywhere.
I feel like the length that we've talked about this, you're just talking about it enough so you can put it back up for anyone that didn't see it.
Look, we may put it back up. How does that work, the possibles, probables? Did you find out straight away after the match you're in or you're out?
Of the All Blacks?
Yeah.
I haven't even told you a story, and all of a sudden I've got a story for you.
Love a story. This is the aftermatch. It's what people have come for.
And I mean, it probably doesn't reflect well on the organisation at the time. But so it was possibles, probables, All Black trial. However, as I said, the Māoris were in Fiji. There was a couple of withdrawals. So it wasn't necessarily, if you play well in that, you're going to be in the All Blacks, because there was a few guys that weren't playing it. And they were going to obviously go and play the Lions after that. But about 2 days, we were all staying at the same hotel in Napier. And we both had 2 different team rooms, but there was like a communal area where they'd pinned up your flights for after the game. And
were you getting sent home? Were you on your way?
Well, the All Blacks were meeting in Auckland, and so we're at sort of everyone's sort of just like playing table tennis or something in the team room, and the flights go up on the notice board
Pre-match.
Yeah, 2 days before, and guys like James Ryan, who was a bolter for the All Blacks, he lives in Dunedin, and yet he was flying to Auckland, and so all of a sudden we're like, oh, it's already been sorted.
So it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. And to be fair, it was an All Black trial, I think, by name only, because of, as I said, there was guys in Fiji and guys not playing it. But yeah, that was a hard case moment, which was probably a bit of an error from somebody. It got taken down for an hour. But
an hour?
Yeah. I was going to Auckland, but that's where
you were based. You would have been going to Auckland anyway, so you didn't know what was happening.
No. So, I mean, does that mean I'm getting picked? No, okay. But,
don't think too much.
Just
try and tackle your little heart out when City's running past you.
Try and get a hand on him.
I can't believe he let you win that club final. He's a lovely person.
He's got a good heart.
He's got a great heart for his taxi driver. Well, that is us. Enough stories. There'll be plenty more where this came from next week on the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beav. We'll see you then.
See you then. Like and subscribe, they say.
Like and subscribe.